The Low Countries, a landscape of meticulous control, where the line between natural and managed is forever blurred. We are beside a typical Dutch water body, a lake carved out perhaps for leisure, for drainage, or simply to manage the unrelenting relationship with the sea. On this grey winter afternoon, the light is flat, diffusing the horizon into a seamless, muted backdrop of olive, grey and bronze. It's a stage of profound quiet, save for the hum of the nearby world. Yet the tranquility is deceptive. This is not a wilderness, but an intensely cultivated enclosure, and within it thrive unexpected tenants. Observe the congregation. The Canada goose, Branta canadensis, a striking bird built for epic journeys, instantly recognisable by its black neck and the bold white chin strap. It is a bird out of place. Its natural home is thousands of miles across the Atlantic. Brought here as decorative specimens, these geese, with their formidable resilience and adaptability, thrived. In this gentle, nutrient-rich environment, they are no longer dependent on the monumental annual migration. They have claimed the Dutch waterways as their own, an invasive success story of the Anthropocene. The flock is focused on a task: grazing. The Dutch grass, a lush, carefully manicured rye mix, is an endless, perfectly presented buffet. The geese move with a methodical rhythm, their serrated bills acting like powerful shears, constantly tearing at the turf. This easy, high-protein diet eliminates the need to push south for warmer climates. They are a reflection of their enclosure, a perfect marriage of a tenacious species and an unnaturally abundant food source provided by human landscaping. Their existence here is proof that a bird's instinct is not just to fly, but to eat, survive, and reproduce. Watch the behaviour. The majority of the flock feeds with their heads down, but there are always a few, the sentinels, standing tall. Neck extended, eyes scanning the perimeter, the tree line, the open water, the path where a cyclist might appear. This is the collective security of the flock. By sharing the duty of vigilance, they maximise their foraging time while minimising risk. A low, conversational honk, a hink, is often enough to communicate confidence. But a sharp ronk can stop the entire operation, signalling a perceived threat. Even in this safe, domestic setting, the ancient instinct for survival remains paramount. Now they transition. The clumsy waddle on land gives way to effortless grace on the water. The lake is more than just a drinking fountain, it is their defensive fortification. A predator on land, fox, dog, or even a curious human, cannot easily reach them once they are afloat. The water allows them to rest, to preen their feathers, and to drift in perfect safety. Their strong webs propel them with quiet efficiency. As the reflections of the poplar and willow trees ripple around them, the geese briefly merge with the image of the wild they once inhabited. Within the mass, relationships are everything. The Canada goose is famously monogamous, pairing for life. Observe the small moments of intimacy, a gentle head rub, a quick, almost synchronised moment of preening. These pairs are the core of the flock, They feed together, defend together, and will soon raise their young together. This loyalty is crucial in their crowded habitat. The familiar presence of their mate is a psychological anchor in a world that is constantly being shaped and walked through by the human population. The family unit is the enduring constant in their enclosed world. The challenge for the geese lies in navigating our world. They have adapted to our parks, our canals, and our golf courses. But we have not always adapted to them. They are often seen as a nuisance, their droppings polluting the parks, their numbers sometimes overwhelming local ecosystems. This tension is the ultimate enclosure. The fence around them is invisible, defined by the human will to permit or to exclude. They are here because we brought them here, and their continued presence is a constant negotiation with the very civilization that sustains them. As the light begins to fail, the entire flock lifts its head. The call of the wild is not entirely silenced. They are preparing for their roost. Sometimes, in a sudden magnificent explosion of noise and movement, they will take flight, circling the lake, creating the familiar V formation. For a brief, majestic moment, they recall the wild migrants they once were. They are enclosed, but not tamed. They have traded the risk of the Great Flyway for the security of the Dutch lowlands. And as they settle for the night on the calm water, they remain a powerful, enduring reminder. Life will find a way, even in a world meticulously defined by human hands. The air fills with a richer, deeper vocalization. The characteristic honking of the Canada goose is often misunderstood. It is not simply aggression. It is a complex language of coordination, warning, and affirmation. Right now, the calls are navigational, ensuring every unit knows where the others are, confirming the safety of the chosen roosting spot. A high-pitched greeting might signal a returning stray, while a low, resonant alarm warns of a late-night predator, perhaps a fox or a large owl. This chorus is the social glue, the auditory map that binds the hundreds of individuals into one cohesive living entity. The presence of the geese attracts other opportunistic residents. Look to the sky. The arrival of the local gulls, perhaps black-headed or common gulls, signals the true end of the feeding day. They are the scavengers, hoping to snatch a final piece of dropped bread or grass. The geese largely ignore them, but their proximity confirms the environment's complexity. This small, lakeside ecosystem is a web of dependence, where the waste and habits of one species feed another, all contained within the boundaries of the municipal park. The gulls are a small, frantic contrast to the geese's stoic composure. These enclosed birds are neither fully wild nor truly captive. They are products of shared space, shaped by human choices and environmental change. Their presence asks a question. How do we care for nature that lives among us, not apart from us? The answer lies not in control alone, but in respect, for boundaries, for balance, and for the lives that unfold quietly beside our own. There are benefits to this life. Predators are scarce, food is reliable, survival rates are high. But there are limits. Overcrowding can stress both birds and land. Disease spreads more easily. Natural behaviours, long-distance flight, exploration, fade with time. What is gained in safety is sometimes lost in instinct. Long before paths were paved and fences installed, this land belonged entirely to water and wind. Birds arrived and departed with the seasons, following ancient routes etched into instinct. The lake expanded and contracted, reshaping its edges each year. Today, traces of that older rhythm remain. In the reeds, in the stillness before flight, the memory of a wilder past lingers, quiet but persistent. These birds rarely need loud calls. Communication happens through posture, distance, and timing. A shift in stance signals caution. A lowered head invites calm. Silence dominates the space, broken only by wind or wings brushing grass. In an enclosed environment, excess noise draws attention. Subtlety becomes survival. Observation is mutual. As humans watch the birds watch back. Eyes follow movement. Patterns are learned. Over time, fear softens into familiarity. Yet trust is never complete. A sudden motion still sends a ripple through the group. Enclosure does not erase instinct, it reshapes it. The lake is more than scenery. It is shelter, food source, and escape. When disturbed, birds move toward water, instinctively choosing the boundary that protects them. Here, enclosure feels less restrictive. The surface opens outward, suggesting space beyond reach. Water becomes the illusion of freedom and its closest substitute. In a managed landscape, weather remains the final authority. Wind dictates movement, rain silences activity, frost redraws the ground. The birds respond instantly, without question. No fence can stop the cold. No path controls the storm. In these moments, nature briefly reclaims dominance. Human intervention is often invisible. Grass is cut, numbers are counted. Signs quietly instruct behaviour. The goal is stability, not wild growth, not collapse. These decisions shape the bird's future as much as instinct once did. Management replaces migration. Policy replaces distance. This place challenges the idea of what wild means. The birds live naturally, yet not freely. Their world is smaller, safer, predictable. Perhaps wildness is no longer about distance from humans, but about resilience within our presence. Adaptation becomes the new instinct. In their stillness, there is instruction. The birds do not resist the boundaries placed around them. They respond. They adjust their routes, their timing, their expectations. What cannot be changed is absorbed into daily life. This is not surrender, but adaptation, quiet, persistent, and effective. They remind us that survival is not always dramatic. It is often made of small decisions: where to stand, when to move, whom to stay close to. Within a limited world, attention becomes sharper. Every sound matters. Every shift in weather is felt. Here, beside the lake, life continues without spectacle. No great journeys begin, no distant horizons are chased. Yet meaning is not diminished. The birds live fully in the space they are given, shaping routine into resilience. As the light fades, their forms soften into the landscape. Grass, water, feather and shadow merge. The enclosure remains, but it no longer defines the moment. What endures is presence, life unfolding, quietly complete. And in that quiet completion, something subtle takes shape. A reminder that coexistence is not a compromise, but a practice. The birds do not measure the size of their world against what once was. They measure it against what is needed: food, safety, continuity. Enough becomes sufficient. The lake reflects this lesson back to us. Its surface accepts every change without protest. Footsteps along its edge, wind across its skin, the passing of seasons. It does not ask to remain untouched, only to remain present. Like the birds, it endures through adjustment. As night settles fully, the space empties of observers. The paths fall silent. What remains belongs to the birds alone. In the darkness, Enclosure loosens its grip, and the world feels briefly infinite again. By morning, boundaries will return, visible and unseen. But for now, there is rest. And within that rest, a quiet truth. Life does not require vast freedom to persist, only the chance to continue, one moment at a time. Morning will arrive without ceremony. Light will spread slowly across the grass, and the birds will rise as they always do, without memory of the night, without anticipation of change. Routine resumes, steady and reliable. In repetition, there is stability. Each day mirrors the last, yet no day is truly the same. A different wind, a different arrangement of bodies, a subtle shift in the lake's edge. These small variations are enough. Within Enclosure, novelty survives in fragments. The birds move not with purpose, but with presence. They do not seek elsewhere. Their world is here, and here is sufficient. In that acceptance lies a quiet resilience, one that asks nothing, explains nothing, and continues regardless. And so the cycle holds, not because it is perfect, but because it works. Life persists, shaped by limits, softened by time, unfolding steadily beside the water. Over time, the enclosure becomes less a barrier and more a frame. It defines the scene without interrupting it. Within this frame, lives are lived fully, if modestly. The birds claim familiar ground, not through ownership, but through repetition. There is comfort in knowing what will not change: the slope of the land, the curve of the shore, the shelter offered by water when disturbance comes. These constants allow energy to be spent on living rather than searching. In a world that often equates freedom with distance, these birds offer a different measure. Freedom here is the absence of immediate threat. It is the ability to rest without fear, to feed without haste, to remain. The lake bears witness to it all, unmoved, reflective, patient. And as long as water meets land at this quiet edge, life will continue to find its way within the lines drawn around it. Nothing here is wasted. Even stillness has a role. The hours between movement allow strength to return, awareness to sharpen. In these pauses, the birds read the world carefully, responding only when response is required. Their lives are shaped by proximity, not just to the lake, but to one another. Distance is measured in wingspans, not kilometres. Safety comes from closeness, from shared vigilance, from knowing the rhythm of the group. This closeness leaves little room for solitude, yet it offers something else, continuity. No one is ever entirely alone. In an enclosed world, presence replaces escape. As the day stretches on, shadows shorten and lengthen again. Time passes without record, and in that passing the birds remain, unchanged in purpose, steady in motion, living proof that endurance often looks like quiet repetition rather than dramatic change. Seen from a distance, this life may appear simple, but simplicity is not emptiness. It is the result of many pressures resolved over time. What remains is what works. Everything else has fallen away. The birds no longer test the limits of the enclosure, they understand them. Knowledge replaces curiosity, and certainty replaces risk. Within known boundaries, energy is conserved and survival becomes efficient. Yet even here, instinct never fully disappears. A sudden sound still lifts heads in unison, wings tense, ready. The memory of open sky lives on in muscle and bone, waiting just in case. And so the balance holds between memory and adaptation, between what once was and what is now. At the water's edge, life continues quietly, shaped by restraint, sustained by familiarity, and carried forward by time itself. Perhaps this is the truest measure of resilience, not the ability to escape constraint, but the capacity to live well within it. The birds do not resist the shape of their world, they move with it, folding limitation into habit. There is no visible struggle here, only adjustment, refined through repetition. Each day reinforces a shared understanding of place. The enclosure becomes less noticeable, fading into the background of lived experience. For the birds, the lake is not a symbol. It is not freedom or confinement. It is simply where life happens. Meaning is not assigned, it emerges through use. And as seasons pass, as feathers are replaced and generations overlap, the landscape holds their imprint. Not carved into stone, but traced in movement, paths worn lightly into grass, patterns repeated until they feel inevitable.